So one important thing that's often overlooked on a plow truck is a battery maintainer. So here's my the original plow truck, and see, it's always plugged in. Okay, maintaining that battery. When you're plowing and you got a salter and a plow, those are draining your battery a lot. So you want to make sure that that battery is good to go when you get out, come out to start the truck, and oftentimes it's not charged enough, and you can have a lot of battery problems. So that's a thing that I've always done with my truck. Now, this is a gas truck. The new truck is a diesel. So we have our cord, and we plug it in, have a maintainer on this truck. Well, wait a minute, there's another plug on a diesel truck. That's a block heater. So we got to come up with a solution for that, because we want to be able to just have one cord. I don't want to have to run 2 extension cords from the garage out to the truck. So what can we do? Well, I came up with a design, and I'm actually going to show you the design, and then I'm going to show you how to install it. So this is what I've come up with, and what we have here is, this is a bulkhead with an outlet on there, and it's obviously got a rubber dust cover, weather cap, and then it's got a switch next to it. Now you're probably wondering, why do you need a switch? So what this does, on the back side of this, I have one cord, then there's a splitter behind it, and behind this, one feed goes directly to the battery maintainer. The other feed goes to the switch and then to the block heater. So this switch controls turning on and off the block heater. Okay? Now the reason why I did that is, whenever I plug the truck in, I always want the battery charging. But I don't always want the block heater on. If you just simply put a splitter on it, every time you plug it in, the block heater is going to be on. That uses a lot of power, and you don't always need it. You only really need the block heater when it's really cold out. So I came up with this design so that when you plug this in, I always want the battery charging. Okay? So then that's going to happen. Then on the really cold nights, this is a lighted rocker switch. So I like the lighted idea because then I can just better see when it's on. On the really cold nights, all I do is come out and flip and turn that on. Okay, so before we get into the installation portion of this video, Shovel Rat Matt keeps getting on me about reminding people to hit the like button and also subscribe to our channel. So if you haven't done so, please do that now. Now let's get into the installation portion. So I got a waterproof switch for AC power, and then I took an old, or not an old, I got a little heavy-duty appliance extension cord, and I wired the switch up into that cord. Okay, so when I plug my extension cord in, the battery charger has no switch, so it's always going to be on when I plug it in, and then this switch will control this outlet, which is for the block heater. So I've created a schematic of the whole setup. In the description of the video, I have links to all the stuff you need to do this job. So here's our parts list for this project. We have a battery maintainer, flush mount AC power port with a built-in splitter, so it has 2 power taps, heavy duty appliance extension cord, lighted AC switch, crimp on wire connectors, liquid tape, and dielectric grease. So the truck I'm going to be installing this on is a 2004 F250 diesel 6-liter. Obviously this can be done on any diesel truck, so you would just adapt it to your truck. You can see I already have it marked. Just with a marker, I just made the marks, and now I'm going to drill the holes. We've got our hole saw, got the proper size, and you want to make sure you're going through metal here. So I've got just some lubricating oil. I mean, use drilling oil if you got any kind of oil just to go through this. Now, one of the most important things when you're doing this, don't go too fast. You are gonna, if you try and drill through this too fast, you're ruining your drill bit. You just want slow and steady to go through. So I'm just gonna spray it down. Let's see, if my bit walks on me, then I may go and get a center punch. We'll see. What I'm going to do, we're going to break the center hole first, obviously. Main thing is you don't want to get too hot on this because your drill bit's going to dull really quickly then. So, lots of oil. And there you go, just steady pressure. So we got the pilot hole now. And I could kind of feel the drill bit when it starts to when it's not cutting as good. So that's when I'm just going to continue to squirt. But the key is slow. You don't want it to get hot. That's why you use the oil. It's lubricating it, helping to keep it cool. And then, you know, just keep your speed slow. You go so fast, it's just going to melt. You know, I've seen it where it actually melts the hole saw. And there it is. We're through the bumper now. You can see the hole. So now we're going to do this one. This one's going to be a little different animal. I'm going to start out with, you know, since it is a square, I'm going to start out with 4 holes to get the corners, 4 smaller drill bits, and then I will take my cutoff tool and then bridge the gaps between the holes, and then we should be able to get it with that. I got a smaller drill bit here. We're going to spray it with the oil. We're going to spray the area down with oil. Can't stress enough, the majority of the time if you're having trouble drilling through metal, it's because you have a dull drill bit. So use the sharpest drill bit you've got. You know, get a new drill bit or sharpen it, and once it's sharp, keep it sharp by going at low speeds and using cutting oil. Okay, now we're going to go right here at the corner. Get a little bit going, then I'm going to spray it down again. Plenty of oil, plenty of Earl. Boom. Okay, so we got our 4 holes done. Now, I'm going to go get the cutoff tool, and we'll cut around that. Okay, so there's 2 ways you can do this. I'm actually going to use the cutoff tool. Now, my small blade for the cutoff tool is actually old and worn out. I don't have a new one, so I'm hoping this works. I'm going to try it. There's another way you can do this. If you have a mini die grinder with a small enough wheel, you could also probably do this too. So I'm going to try this method. I'm going to oil the blade just like everything else. Spray it all down, and then you're just basically you're connecting the dots. So. So So we just got to get the top, and then this down here, if the switch doesn't fit, because you can see it's a little high, whereas these come up straight, we'll just take the Dremel tool and grind that down. Now, one of the things that I will tell you, a little tip, if you've got a newer truck, this is an 04. It's going to be a plow truck. It's not perfect. It's got some dents and dings, and I know it's going to get, so I'm not too picky about it. But what you want to do before you work on this, like say you've got a brand new truck, just take some blue painter's tape and cover up the areas around this. You can even actually just tape the whole thing over, make your pencil marks, and then drill through the painter's tape. That's what I've done too. I didn't feel it was necessary for this, just because like I said, it's a plow truck and it's going to get dents and dings, and you know, but if you're drilling and your drill slips and you scratch this, then you're scratching stuff. So you know, that's just something to think about if you're doing this on like a newer truck, and you really want to keep it in pristine condition. So here's the first test. We're going to pop this in, the outlet, and let's hope it fits. Oh yeah, beautiful. What we will do is take this and feed it from the back side to the front. And now we've fed it through. Okay, so now, and I'll test this before I actually put all the goop on it, because I just want to make sure that my wires are in the right. This is a lighted rocker switch too, so I wanted to have it where I knew for sure that power was getting to it and that it's for sure on. So that's why I got a lighted rocker switch. So let's push this and check. Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that setup, guys. I have, it's a number 8 1/2-inch stainless steel self-drilling screw. I'm really liking how this looks. It's just, I like things that look clean and look factory. I hate having just wire hanging out of the truck. Now there's a variation of this that you could do too. Some guys do this, and I didn't want to do this, but you could do the same setup, but on the back side of this have a timer. Some guys have it where it turns the block heater on a couple hours before they have to leave for work. I don't want it on every night. I don't want it on a timer. And it's not, I'm doing plowing, so I'm watching the weather close enough to where if it's going to get cold, I'm like, oh, it's going to be cold tonight. I'll come out to the truck and flip the thing on. So let's get the rest of this wired up. So I pulled this back out. I tested the switch and everything with the power on, and it's all good. So the switch, it's all wired in the right direction. Okay. So the next step is what I'm using here is liquid tape. Okay. There's all kinds of different brands of this, but this is the particular one I'm using. So what I'm going to do is totally just try and feed it in these, just kind of encase it in all of those electrical connections. Okay. These, like I said, it's all waterproof, but I'm just doing extra steps just to make sure that I don't have a problem. And corrosion's a big thing, especially on plow trucks. Okay, so make sure, you know, if you're messing with this stuff, it's not plugged in and all that. I'm gonna tighten up these with the pliers, the spade connectors. Just make sure they're all tight before I put everything on. I don't want anything slipping off. If you wanted to, you could even do solder connections, you know, if you're familiar with soldering. Now, I love this liquid tape stuff. It is like ultra fast dry stuff. Even in the cold weather I've used it. And so it's just got a brush applicator. So all I'm doing is just gonna work it in there. I'm gonna try and get it to go in. It's just a very like goopy rubber, but it basically, you know, when it all dries on here and everything, it's gonna be like just a thick rubberized coating. In fact, it's actually almost drying up on me too quick right now. It's like 38 degrees out here, and it's kind of, I wanted it a little more loose so that it would sink down into the middle of all the terminals, but I'm just going to keep gooping it on and get it all in there, because I really don't want this switch to have any kind of issues down the road. Let's check before I put it in. I'm going to plug in the power and just check the connection, make sure the light turns on. Light turns on. Block heater should be on at that point. Okay, so that's good. So let's take it, we'll feed it back in. Just like that. And see, it's got a rubber gasket on the outside here. That's what helps make it waterproof. Ooh, I felt it snap in. So that's good. That's, oh yeah, you can't pull that out. That's how you want it. And that's why we're when making your hole for the switch, it's crucial that that hole doesn't get too big. I actually made a cardboard template of the switch, and then one of the things is, if you're making a hole and you're not sure, make it smaller, because you can always grind off, you know, and test the switch, grind off a little more, test the switch. If you make it too big, that's it. I mean, you're done, unless you want to make some kind of plate or something to cover it. But what I'm doing with all the connections, so this is the block heater. I ran my cord. I actually put dielectric grease inside the connections in there, okay? And what that's going to do, dielectric grease, it does not conduct electricity, but what it does is it stops moisture from getting into your electrical connections. So you squeeze it in there, then when you put the metal in, the metal pushes the dielectric grease out of the way and contacts the other metal. But the dielectric grease is meant to get all the spaces in between where air is. When there's air, that can create oxidization on your metal. That's how the moisture gets in there, okay? So now what I'm going to do on this connection too is, I'm not just going to leave it like that. I'm putting electrical tape. Now, I'm not a big fan of electrical tape, I will tell you. Like, this electrical tape is not to stop moisture, okay? So let's just be clear on that. The only reason I'm putting this electrical tape on is actually just to create this connection to stop it from possibly pulling apart. Especially since there's dielectric grease in there. Those connections can be a little bit more slippery once you put the dielectric grease in there. So the electrical tape helps to hold that connection together. So that's my design for a block heater and battery maintainer on a diesel truck.